Welcome to Fandom, Shmandom, the fandom podcast that covers everything you love and more. I'm Liz Wade Stickle.
And I am Sam Williams. And today's episode, we will be maniacally munching about the Odyssey, books 5 through 12, what we're calling monsters and mayhem.
This side of the books is Odysseus recounting his adventures and misfortunes on his way home to Ithaca. Along the way, he encounters all of the monsters that you know and love, including the Sirens, the Cyclops, Circe, Calypso, some cannibals, some giants. Terribly exciting stuff.
And to get you oriented to all of the monsters and the mayhem, we will be going through the characters that you need to know before we get into the book itself. And then we will take you through each book. So we're doing books 5 through 12, aka basically chapters 5 through 12. And the important characters that you need to know previous this, see our first podcast, which explains who Odysseus is, who Penelope is, who Telemachus is, what's going on there. So if you're like, who's this Odysseus guy? Go back to episode 1. The important characters that you need to know in book 5 is really just one person. Her name is Ino, or Leucothea. They're the same person, that name. She's the same person. Initially, the mortal Ino, who helped raise the infant god Dionysus, Ino eventually became a sea goddess when Hera drove her mad and her son mad, her son being Meltiserates, and made them jump into the sea. Thus, Ino becomes Leucothea. Note here, the previous mortal who takes pity on a mortal in peril when Ino meets Odysseus in book 5.
So book 5 is when we, the audience, finally meet Odysseus. Again, if you've listened to the last episode, he has not shown up yet. We are 5 books deep, and we have seen in media res, as they say, what is happening in real time back home while he is missing post-Trojan War. So he is no longer just the subject of bickering amongst the gods or a tale of heroism at the dinner table, but a man trapped on the island of Calypso.
The time period here gets a bit confusing. So remember, Odysseus has been gone for basically 20 years. 10 years of that, he's accounted for. He's at Troy, battling, warring, conniving, etc. Then he's been gone for another 10 years. So for 7-ish, so we don't know what's happened for the first 3 years of those 10 years. For the last 7-ish years of his unaccounted decade, he has been trapped with the nymph Calypso, which we found out in book 1 when Athena's like, please let him go. And Zeus is like, I guess fine. He's still trapped with Calypso when Telemachus goes sailing for information on Odysseus. That's what the first 4 books of the Odyssey are about, Telemachus's path. During that time, Athena pleads with Zeus to help Odysseus leave the island. As I just said, Zeus has already decided to free Odysseus from his Poseidon plight, but Calypso has no orders or drive to let Odysseus go. Zeus declares that Odysseus should leave, but he'll have trouble when he reaches the Phaeacians, but at least he'll get a lot of treasure out of it.
Zeus sends Hermes to Calypso and orders her to give Odysseus up. She's extremely upset. She fell for Odysseus pretty much immediately. And then she accuses the gods, rightly so, of being jealous when a female immortal, like her, sleeps with a mortal. But the gods go ahead and sleep with mortals or geese all the time. She relents. She has to say her piece. She explains that she loves Odysseus like a husband and offers to make him immortal, or in the translation I'm reading, deathless.
Deathless,
That's
which is like
so cool.
Not eternal youthfulness either. So it's just like a withering Odysseus at 500 years old.
You're never leaving
turns
me.
into Yoda.
You're never leaving me.
Odysseus declines that, and while the Odyssey makes it apparent that Odysseus does sleep with Calypso, he's very, very, very sad about being parted from his wife Penelope. While Odysseus is crying about that, Calypso appears and tells him to cry no more. She's setting him free, Odysseus, because he's been through the ringer at this point, doesn't trust her and makes her swear not to hinder his sailing progress.
Odysseus uses tools provided by Calypso to build a raft, and he sails away. As proclaimed by Zeus when he sees the Phaeacian kingdom, Poseidon realizes what Odysseus is doing and creates a great storm in the sea. Odysseus abandons ship, and while doing so, wishes he had just died a warrior's death. At that point, Ino, the goddess of the sea, takes pity on him and gives him a magical scarf that will help him stay alive until he reaches land, where he then must toss the scarf back to the sea. For 2 days and 2 nights, he floats until he finally finds land, where, with Athena's help, he swims to a beach, throws the scarf back, and falls asleep.
That was book 5. Book 6, the important characters that you need to know are 3 members of the royal Phaeacian kingdom. So we have Nausicaa, the princess. You'll meet her in just a second. We'll have the king of the Phaeacians, Alcinous, who is not Antinous. Antinous is the head big bad guy back in Ithaca who's trying to woo Penelope so that he can inherit all the riches of Odysseus. That's Antinous. Alcinous is the king of the Phaeacians. He's the father of Nausicaa and the husband of Arete, the queen of the Phaeacians, who you'll see Odysseus appeals to her for help first, not Nausicaa or Alcinous.
So getting into book 6, Athena is up to her usual, but this time she disguises herself as a girl. She scolds the princess Nausicaa for the state of her clothes and convinces her to go down to the shore and wash them. She literally approaches her and goes, "Oh my god, I can't believe that a princess would let herself fall into such disrepair." So just by pure social pressure, no direct order from a god, only suggestion from this little girl who crosses her path and kind of throws shade. So with food and transport provided by her royal parents, she goes with her maids to the beach to wash her clothes.
Nausicaa finds Odysseus there, and Xenia pops its quite honestly lovely head. She brings Odysseus back to the castle, noting how Zeus must have designed his pain. Odysseus bathes, oils, and clothes himself, while Athena, which seems to be her party trick, makes him very striking, just like she did with his son Telemachus. Nausicaa tells Odysseus to wait in a grove so she can talk to her parents first about him. Odysseus obeys and prays for Athena's protection, but the goddess is too scared of, you guessed it, Poseidon, to appear to him, Odysseus, undisguised. That's the end of book 6. So it's pretty quick there from book 5 and book 6. There are also no important characters that we need to know for book 7. So here we go right to it.
At the start of book 7, so Athena creates a mist to obscure Odysseus from the main Phaeacian town. As this little girl still, she guides him to the castle and tells him the best strategy is to gain Arete's sympathies. The queen has a lot of sway. Odysseus does as suggested, walks straight up to the queen, kneels, hugs her legs, begs for her to help him to get home. Only then does this mist disappear.
Alcinous, the queen's husband, the king, following the Xenia way, sits Odysseus down beside him and praises Zeus. He wonders if Odysseus himself may be a god. Odysseus does not reveal anything about himself except that he is mortal, and he knows this because he suffers like one. He just wants to go home, see his family, and die happy.
Arete is smart, though. She notices that Odysseus is dressed in the clothes of her household and questions Odysseus about it. Imagine having a daughter and this stranger comes in and is like, I just hope you can give me some hospitality. I don't know anything about any of you. And she goes, don't you though? He tells her the whole story about his time trapped with Calypso, his departure, his days at sea, and admits how Nausicaa found him. He is clear that it was not his idea to go with Nausicaa to the palace, and this gains the trust and respect of the king and the queen. Alcinous even says he wishes Odysseus could stay longer and wed his daughter, but knows he cannot and will arrange his travel home.
Thus ends book 7. The two new major characters for you guys to know about in book 8. One of them is Demodocus. Demodocus is a blind poet. Some believe this to be a self-insert by Homer. Of course, that's only if you believe that Homer was a blind poet and not a composite of a great different many storytellers in Greek oral traditions. So it could be a self-insert. It also could just be a character.
Euryalus, also known as Broadsea, is an insolent young nobleman. He insults the old washed man of Odysseus, to his great detriment, ultimately. Beginning of book 8, the next day, Alcinous makes good on his promise. He asks for a boat and 52 crew to get Odysseus home. Everyone else gets to party at the feast. There's a poet named Demodocus. He is inspired by the muse to sing about the quarrel between Achilles and Odysseus.
This song in particular is interesting because Odysseus in the Iliad does not really have such an esteemed essence in that story. Remember, there's no Trojan horse in the Iliad. That only comes in the Odyssey. Odysseus is this trickster and fighter and a good captain, but he's not held to the same standard and valor and amazingness that is Achilles. This quarrel, supposedly, is about how to take Troy. And as we know, Achilles, the bloodthirsty, the one who just wants to beat them to death, dies. And the one who wants to go through battle strategy and trick them and be smart about the fight, Odysseus does not.
The song makes Odysseus openly weep. Alcinous does not want to see his guest cry, so he urges the feast to move forward and let's do some athletic competitions. The natural next step. A young man named Laodamas invites Odysseus to join, but he's exhausted and he declines. He sits back and says, "Go ahead, y'all be athletic all you want. I was just crying, so I'm actually going to sit this one out." Euryalus taunts Odysseus and declares that there's no way Odysseus is an athlete.
If only this petulant child knew. Take the bait.
He will.
Odysseus joins in and throws a discus farther than any others had managed up to this point. Athena, in disguise, praises him to the crowd and encourages him to continue. Odysseus, insulted and spurred, declares he'll beat anyone but the king, of course, because the king is his host. The king calms all down, claiming that athletics really isn't the Phaeacian way. Anyways, and pay attention to this little section, the fact that Odysseus immediately takes bait and is like, I'm going to beat all of you up, because this will absolutely come back to haunt many people as we go along this story. Also, I love the fact that the Phaeacian king is like, this isn't really what we do anyways.
I don't even like athletic competitions.
I
just thought you liked them.
I just did this because you were crying.
I don't even want one. Demodocus continues and sings again, tries another one. He tells a new tale of how the crippled goldsmith god Hephaestus discovered his wife, Aphrodite's, infidelity with Ares and trapped them in his bed together with an incredible, tripwire chain trap.
First time James Bond came into the thought of somebody was like, oh yeah, tripwire trap, that's great.
Tripwire trap, for sure. Make it of really fine chain, and then suspend them from the ceiling so I can bring all my god friends and we'll laugh at them, which they do. So
tripwire infidelity trap.
Yeah, Hephaestus, it's like a cartoon. Hephaestus really obviously leaves his home. It's just like, gotta go out of town. Hope nobody comes to my house and I'm not expecting them to. They both absolutely fall for it. He returns home with all the gods to point and laugh at Aphrodite and Ares. Not only their shame, but the embarrassment of being caught And also because the limping god Hephaestus has beaten the god of war.
Yeah, it's why I have so many questions about Hephaestus's plan, specifically because it's like, hey, did you know that immediately upon leaving, Ares and Aphrodite would rush straight to the bed? Like, you knew that he wasn't on a trip doing some wars somewhere? Because, like, Aphrodite could have just gone to the bed by herself and then suddenly been hoisted up somewhere. He like, no. They're committing adultery and they do it immediately. Like, I am just around the corner.
He has correct full faith in the draw of his wife. She is quite literally the goddess of lust.
Yeah,
they are two of the more passionate gods.
Yes, that's very true. Ares and Aphrodite, certainly. This song about Hephaestus and Ares is a clear parallel to Odysseus and Achilles, and specifically also to the next song that Demodocus sings, which is about how Odysseus concocted the Trojan horse idea. So this is fascinating because Demodocus doesn't know that this stranger is Odysseus. No one does. Odysseus is not given his name. So Demodocus sings about how he comes up with the Trojan horse idea and how he and King of Sparta, also the husband of Helen of Troy, Menelaus, showed incredible courage during this Trojan horse time. Trying once again, Odysseus is now commanded by Alcinous to reveal himself and explain his tears. That's how book 8 ends.
I'm so
Explain
tired
yourself. Why are you crying?
of this crying stranger not telling me anything.
I need to know.
Give me the gossip in my own house or else.
So, who are the characters that you need to know in book 9? There are 2 crews here. There is Odysseus's crew that takes off with him from Troy, and many bad things occur because by the time we get to Calypso, it's not like Calypso is shacking up with his whole crew. It's just Odysseus and Calypso on this island.
Then we have Polyphemus. This is the name of the Cyclops, who in this story isn't a mindless monster, isn't just club swinging for nothing. He's a giant with one eye who eats people, speaks Greek, and herds and loves his livestock.
Yeah, loves indeed.
And a really important detail, he is also Poseidon's son. So at the start of book 9, we know Odysseus is being forced to then reveal himself via command of the king. So Odysseus now feels appropriately compelled to explain how he got from Troy to Alcinous's palace. This is sort of the moment in a movie where the main character stops the film and says, "You're probably wondering how I got here." After leaving Troy, Odysseus and his crew sacked the city of Cycines on the way out. Odysseus wanted to leave, but his men wanted to stay and plunder. However, Cycines citizens did not appreciate that. They call for backup.
Many of Odysseus's men, the Achaeans, were killed by this backup army, and only a few managed to flee. But Zeus sent a hurricane and swept the boats off in the wrong direction, which I suppose would mean that would be up the current day Dardanelles Strait towards the Sea of Marmara, since literally any other direction would send them either back into like Troy or actually to Ithaca. So gotta be up that direction. After a week and a half at sea, Odysseus and his crew come to the land of the Lotus Eaters. In real life, it's possible this lotus refers to the blue lotus of Egypt, but probably not. There is also a plant called opium lettuce, or poor man's opium, that was used throughout ancient Greece as a sedative. Lettuce, lotus, same thing. Psychedelic lettuce, man.
Both
crazy.
Of those names are crazy.
Opium lettuce and poor man's opium.
Poor man's opium. Okay. Are poppies not cheap enough?
It could also be a poppy, to be fair, but there was a recent discovery of like, oh, it might actually be this lettuce.
So when they eat the fruit of the lotus in the myth, all Odysseus' men lose their desire and memory of home. We'll see this happen kind of a lot from this point on. That there is either a physical obstacle or they lose their drive or have their drive taken from them.
Their being, right, absolutely.
But Odysseus' will is stronger, and he forces his men to return to the ship. Then it's the time that everyone's looking forward to. They land on an island to find water and food and come across the Cyclops. A scout party tells Odysseus of a giant cave full of livestock. How convenient! And Odysseus takes 12 men to the cave. His men want to rob the Cyclops, but Odysseus, now regretful, insists that they observe custom, Xenia.
But this is Poseidon's son, not Zeus. So harken back to episode 1 when we're describing like Poseidon and Hades and Hera and pretty much any of the siblings of Zeus don't always listen to him, and their children sometimes don't always listen to Zeus. So while Zeus may insist on Xenia, the son of Poseidon does not. After rolling a huge stone to close the cave's mouth, the Cyclops sees Odysseus and his men once he lights a fire. Odysseus insists the Cyclops obeys Xenia custom, but the Cyclops, in response, bashes 2 men against the ground and eats them in front of Odysseus and his crew. Urged to kill Polyphemus, this Cyclops, right then and there, swells in Odysseus, but he's cleverer than he is angry, and realizes if they kill the Cyclops then, they'd be stuck in the cave with no one to roll away the door. Not for the pot in any way, shape, or form, but he just needs to wait a couple thousand years for Jesus.
Should have had hindsight.
Should have had 2020 is a
You're telling me.
The year. Yeah, for real.
They all sleep in the cave, out of reach of the Cyclops. In the morning, Polyphemus eats 2 more men, then leaves for the day to tend to his flock, leaving the door shut. Odysseus, of course, has to scheme, and he convinces his men to get the club of the Cyclops and sharpen it. When Polyphemus returns, he eats 2 more men. That eating the men count is up to half the crew he brought. And Odysseus, pretending to be a nice guest, offers Polyphemus strong wine. As the Cyclops drinks, Odysseus tells him his name is Nobody. And Polyphemus says, out of gratitude for the wine, he'll simply eat Odysseus last. Xenia. Odysseus and his men heat up the sharpened club and stab the Cyclops in the eye.
This causes quite the commotion, and to the men's horror, and anybody who's not familiar with the actual text of the Odyssey, there's a whole civilization of Cyclops living on this island, it turns out. And they all come rushing to ask Polyphemus who did this. He can only answer, nobody. Nobody hurt me. Nobody blinded me. Nobody stabbed me in the eye. Which is hilarious and a great, 4,000-year-old joke. In the night, Odysseus had himself and his men lash themselves to the underside of the rams of the Cyclops. So in the morning, as the Cyclops felt for the men, he could only feel his rams. Now remember, he brings the rams out to the pastures to go and eat. So guess what happens? All the men underneath the rams as they come outside. Once outside the cave, Odysseus and his men, the 6 of them left, free themselves and run for the ship.
Unfortunately for Odysseus, this is when his personal vendetta with Poseidon starts. Odysseus, in all his arrogance, once on the ship, calls out to Polyphemus and says that Zeus would punish him for not abiding in the Xenia way. Using his ears like Daredevil, the Cyclops picks up a giant stone and hurtles it towards the voice of Odysseus, splashing behind the boat, so it almost brings them back to shore. After checking, making sure it's not going to happen again, Odysseus taunts the Cyclops again, saying, "Oh yeah? My name's not Nobody. It's Odysseus."
Odysseus, muses Polyphemus. A prophet had once told him that a man named Odysseus would blind him. Polyphemus prays to his dad, something that we can't all say that we've done, who his dad is Poseidon, and asks him to avenge his blindness, saying that Odysseus should never reach home, or if he must reach home, please, please, please cause him as much strife as possible before he gets there. And that is literally why Odysseus has been on this Odyssey.
That whole
thus
last,
ending.
that whole last piece. Stop trying to outsmart fate, Greece.
Right.
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
The arrogance of Odysseus, just like shouting from his ship.
The arrogance of Odysseus, Polyphemus having to be like, ah, shoot. I was told I was gonna get blinded by an Odysseus. Like, once you're blinded, you know that's Odysseus.
That's so true. How did he not figure it out before that?
Oh, I must have been blinded by another Odysseus. What?
Man, this stinks because my dad's gonna heal my one eye and then I'm gonna get blinded again. Oh no, this is Odysseus. This is the one time.
Man, my dad's gonna be so mad. I only got the one.
I only got the one eye.
He told me to be really careful with it. It's the only one I got.
That's so funny. That ends book 9. The important character and characters to know in book 10. First and foremost, everyone's favorite beautiful island witch, Circe. Circe, in myth and legend, can metamorphosize into many shapes. She's also traditionally seen as the embodiment and danger of female sexuality. However, recently, she's been seen through this lens of actual female autonomy.
Aeolus, the god of wind and king of Aeolia, who generously helps Odysseus and his crew attempt to return to Ithaca.
Yes, and then we have the Lastrygonians. Those are giant cannibals. The natural consequence of lack of restraint.
So in book 10, Odysseus and this smaller cruise, next stop is the Aeolian island. They stay with Aeolus for a month. Check it. Here's the Xenia. And he sends the men on their way with a bag of winds. Aeolus releases the west wind, referred to as Zephyr, to guide their ship home. Over 9 days and 9 nights of sailing, Odysseus finally lets himself fall asleep next to his lovely parting gift bag, given by Aeolus, with Ithaca safely in sight.
Ugh.
His men, however, start to mumble grumble about how cool and fun and rich Odysseus is, and decide they deserve a cut of whatever marvelous treasure the god of wind clearly gave him.
You work on commission, right, Odysseus? Big mistake. Huge. The mighty winds escape their bag and blow them, you guessed it, all the way back to the Manes Island, the Aeolian Island. Absolute bummer. Such a bummer that Odysseus contemplates throwing himself into the ocean rather than, quote here, bite his lip and stay among the living. The embarrassed, shamed crew weeps. Odysseus interrupts King Manes' dinner with his wife, 6 daughters, and 6 sons to ask for help again, but is thrown out because of what a literally god-forsaken man he must be.
When the well-chastened crew return to their ship, they row themselves to exhaustion over the course of 6 days and nights. On the 7th day, they land at Laestrygonia, and Odysseus sends 3 men from his crew ahead to scout out the island. They run into a young girl, a helpful young girl, who leads them to the palace of her father, King Antiphates. When they arrive at the palace, they come face to face with the giantess queen and her massive king, who promptly eat one of Odysseus' sailors.
There's a lot of eating
of
sailors going on.
A lot of eating the crew.
The Laestrygonians sink ships with boulders and gruesomely eat more of Odysseus' men. But one boat, thanks as always to Odysseus, manages to escape. They mourn their fallen brethren, or eaten brethren, more like, but admittedly are happy to have escaped. They row fearfully all the way to Aea, home to the, quote, beautiful, dreadful goddess Circe, who speaks in human languages. Boy, would I love to be described that way on my tombstone. Who speaks in human languages.
Ooh, ah.
For 2 days, the remaining crew moped on the beach. Odysseus decides to take initiative and look for any signs of life.
So Odysseus sees several things on his brief sojourn deeper into the island. For one, he sees smoke rising from Circe's palace. He also sees a large, beautiful stag that he promptly kills for the men to eat. He gives his men a pep talk.
That's never gotten anybody in any trouble. Agamemnon definitely didn't kill a stag and really upset one of the gods and then got no wind and then had to kill. No, it's all been fine. Killing stags works out great for everybody.
He then gives his men a pep talk so that they'll start cooking. And they wake up in the morning. Odysseus gives them a new pep talk, telling them to quit crying, and half of them set off towards the palace. Notice how Odysseus just is continually teaching us fractions.
Yeah.
How many crew will I have if I take half of who's left? I don't know, Odysseus. Stop. We should split up and search this island. It's worked before. The half of the crew who go towards the palace, they are charmed immediately by Circe's beautiful voice and her friendly apex predators. She has some charming, lovely, actual lions and wolves who go and cuddle up to the men. And they're like, ooh, this should be fine.
Big kitty. Big doggy.
Yeah. All but Eurylochus went in to enjoy food and drink provided by the witch. As usual, greed and a lack of discernment or healthy suspicion have a price. The food and the drink was poisoned, and the men forget their home again. Then, Circe turns them into pigs while maintaining their human consciousness. So they are trapped in these swine bodies. No desire to go home anymore. Maybe a desire to be a person again. Eurylochus runs back to the ship and relays everything he just saw.
Odysseus bravely marches himself up to the palace, ready to confront the enchantress who cursed his men. He unknowingly crosses path with Hermes. Now, interestingly enough, Hermes is Odysseus's great-grandfather. So Odysseus is like, my father's father's father was Hermes.
Casual.
Which is just crazy to me. And so Hermes here is essentially talking to his kin.
Hermes is the homie.
Yes, absolutely. So Hermes gives Odysseus a magical herb that will block Circe's magic from taking hold of Odysseus. He predicts everything the witch will do, basically saying, she basic, I know what's up, Odysseus, and instructs Odysseus on how to respond and to get out alive. Odysseus follows Hermes' instructions and ultimately frightens Circe with his apparent constitution, so much so that she falls to her knees and begs him to join her in bed so they may trust each other moving forward. He makes her swear a binding oath and that she will no longer plot against him. And she agrees.
While they're in bed, Circe's maids and slaves lay a beautiful feast for Odysseus. He refuses to eat until his men are returned to their human forms. The men try to leave the island, but Odysseus convinces them to stay. They remain on the island for a year. They just get waited on and live in luxury and comfort. Once they decide to leave, Circe tells them to find Tiresias in the underworld and gives Odysseus some convoluted instructions for how to summon the prophet.
Thus ends Book 10, Book 11. Tiresias is a blind prophet, but even in the underworld, as a dead man, he has the power to see the future.
Another deadman, Achilles, the dipped-in-a-water baby who gains invulnerability. If only his mother had followed instructions and dipped all of him, not missing his heel, then he wouldn't have died by a god-led arrow shot by Paris in the Battle of Troy.
Yes. And not so famous dead woman, Anticlea. This is Odysseus's mother, long dead, but this is the first he's hearing about her passing.
So in Book 11, it begins with Odysseus following Circe's wild instructions to the letter, which include the slaughter of a ewe and a ram, and allowing ghosts to drink the blood, which is the key to them speaking through the veil to the living. The first ghost to make contact is Odysseus's unfortunate crewman Elpenor, who asks for his burial rites. Elpenor, during the last book, got super drunk, fell off a roof, broke his neck. weird little, like, couple of stanzas. The cautionary tale.
No idea why it's in there.
Cautionary tale
it's like
of
the
Elpenor.
last day, too.
It is literally the last thing in the chapter.
They are leaving to go to the boats. He wake up and he's so excited. Oh, good, we're going home. That he just steps off the roof and dies.
Incredible.
And nobody noticed.
Incredible.
This is the first time they're noticing.
They are realizing he's dead.
He's showing up at the underworld like, hey guys, I'm dead. Oh, we knew that. We've been super sorry about it.
The second ghost he sees is his mother, Anticlea, and this is the moment he learns that she has died.
Can you imagine? You know, you're in the underworld. You're there to see long dead people.
You're going through the ghost Rolodex for this blind prophet.
And your mother shows up, and you don't know that she's dead.
The worst your mama joke.
Wait, it is so bad.
Worst.
Yeah, absolutely. The third ghost is, of course, the Ghost of Christmas Future, as written by Wait, hold on. Wrong story. This is not the Ghost of Christmas Future. Wait, but it kind of actually is. Tiresias drinks the blood and warns Odysseus that his journey home will be riddled with further misfortune because he has angered Poseidon, something that we, the audience, knows, and now Odysseus knows. They all have a chance to get home if they leave the cattle of the sun unharmed. If not, Odysseus will return home by himself. Before Odysseus ultimately settles down, he'll need to appease the god of the sea.
This, if you don't remember, is exactly Polyphemus's prayers coming true. He has prayed a fate for Odysseus into being, where he goes, okay, I don't even want this guy to get home. If he has to get home, however, it's gotta be bad the whole way. Thanks,
Manifesting
Dad.
with God, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. So, Odysseus actually then learns the blood trick from Tiresias. Like, he doesn't know that the drinking of the blood before it has happened is how he can actually hear through the veil. So, Odysseus then gets to speak to his mother. She fills him in on his son and wife's loyalty at home, which we are already aware of, and tells him that she herself died waiting for him to return home. Odysseus...
Brutal.
Unbelievable.
Also feels very much like a family member thing to do. Oh, by the way, I died waiting for you.
I was ready for you to come home a hero.
Where were you? It's way past curfew.
It's way past bedtime. Odysseus asks to go to bed and resume his tale in the morning. He pulls us out of his story and goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This is me, Odysseus. I do need to go to bed." The king and queen, however, are so engrossed in this tale. They promise him gifts if he just gives him a few more name drops of the heroes he saw. Surely you saw some more famous people that I know. Yeah, your mom.
Odysseus just starts making stuff up. Wait, no, we got a Tiresias and your mom, but give us some good details. Mom,
but who do I know that's dead that you saw? Please?
You said gifts? Sure. Who's the guy that I knew in the war?
Yeah.
Achilles. Agamemnon. Sure, I can tell you what happened to them. Odysseus relents and tells them about his conversation with Agamemnon, where the cursed king spills the tea about his own murder and tells Odysseus basically never trust your woman. Keep some things from your wife and return home in secret. Turns out, Odysseus is in the back being like, no, there's just no way. I just learned from my mom about how great Penelope is.
Oh no,
she has earned my trust. Yeah. Oh no. I'm sorry you don't like your wife.
I don't have a ball and chain. I have a partner.
This is such a relatable conversation. As a man who really likes his wife, anytime I run into somebody who complains about their wife, I'm like, oh no.
Marriage is so hard. Just wait till what?
It's actually not. I actually really like it. It's great. So, finally, Odysseus gets to speak to Achilles, who is probably the major hero that most people have been wanting to hear about from the Iliad. So if you've been waiting through all of the different stories of Homer and you're like, here we go, Achilles, he's coming. We learn that he dies at Troy. He does not survive the war. And Achilles laments his post-mortem glory and would give it all back just to be alive. He is pleased to learn of his own son's heroism in his stead. And talking to the dead starts to get really spooky for Odysseus at this point. So he and his remaining crewmates returned to their ship.
So for those of you who like horror, the end of this book is the dead starting to be like, oh, hey, are you going to Ithaca? Hey, I've got something to say to, like, it's a bunch of them being like, hey, is that talking blood? They start just, like, rushing at the crew and Odysseus, and they're like, oh no, gotta hang up. No more talking.
We're actually going to hang up right now. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Thus begins the last book, book 12 of this podcast. So we've got a couple of different characters for you guys to know about. First of all, we have the sirens. Now, the sirens are often mistaken for mermaids because they essentially do the same thing functionally. They lure sailors and men to their deaths with the sound of their singing, and it's terrifying. However, sirens are half bird, half women. Not half fish, half women. Half bird and half women.
Next, we have Scylla and Charybdis, two immortal, inescapable monsters, sometimes set in the Strait of Messina. Scylla is the personification of a reef. In mythology, Scylla is a giant sea monster, female with 6 heads on 12-foot-long snake-like necks. She eats anyone who ventures too close. Here's an interesting description of her. Quote, her loins were girdled by the heads of baying dogs, end quote. Well,
Charybdis is the personification of a whirlpool. This character, before cursed, lived under a fig tree on the shore opposite of Scylla, and drinks and belched forth water 3 times a day that would fell any ship near it. In some tales, she upsets Zeus, either by trying to steal from Hercules or by helping Poseidon expand his dominion by causing sea level rise and flooding. Either way, she's confined by Zeus to the bottom of the sea, where she eternally now swallows and spews water, causing a whirlpool. I will note here, I find it fascinating that these 2 sea monsters are both women, again.
Both women, both, like, somehow even more naturally occurring things than what the other gods stand for.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just that these 2 things interrupt seafaring. Evil.
Evil, very evil.
Evil and bad.
And then we have Helios. Helios is the sun god. The cattle of the sun and the island of the sun belong to him. So when Odysseus is warned to leave the cattle of the sun alone, this is the owner of the cattle of the sun. So the sun god is actually quite a minor god in Greek and Roman mythology. In Greek mythology, he basically just like drives a chariot and complains to the gods when things don't go his way. But the sun is not seen as this really important mechanism, right? The earth is flat and it's the center of the universe. The sun doesn't provide food to plants. It's weather that does that, which is why Zeus is in charge, not Helios. Now, Roman mythology, it changes. He's sometimes the god of the sun, and then at one point, the sun is just known as the unconquerable sun. There's no god associated with it. So as our understanding of the sun from a human experience in Western culture starts to evolve, so does the mythology around it.
To begin Book 12, Elpenor, our poor, drunk, broken-necked friend, he is buried. He gets the burial rites that he has asked for.
Another good tombstone.
Yeah. He gets the burial rites that he has asked for. He also, in his conversation with Odysseus in the previous book, asks that he be appropriately grieved and mourned for. Circe then gets one more visit. She has some more warnings. So Odysseus has to pass through the islands of the Sirens. She tells them that they're going to try and lure the men to their deaths, as they do with their songs, but Circe has a countermeasure in mind. Beeswax.
Yes, Odysseus must use beeswax as earplugs for his men. But if Odysseus wants to risk hearing the siren song,
Wild.
Circe suggests tying Odysseus to the mast of the ship. Odysseus is wise, though, and of course refuses the temptation of putting his men through any more risk.
Except he does risk his men's lives. he chooses to listen to the songs and fights against the vines to try and reach the sirens. After this quaint moment of madness, Odysseus and his men move on, have to face the decision of getting too close to Charybdis, the whirlpool, or Scylla, the female long-necked people eater. Another. Circe had also warned Odysseus about this. Either way, only one ship had ever passed through this area before unscathed.
That ship was the Argo, as in Jason and the Argonauts. But Circe tells Odysseus, you're not that talented, you're not as good as Jason, and you're definitely going to lose some men. Charybdis is too dangerous, so sail near Scylla. You'll lose 6 men. But you'll lose more if you try and fight Scylla, or go near Charybdis. So be fine with the 6 deaths. Odysseus is like, all right, sounds good to me. I just need to get home. Not everybody needs to get home. And he does lose 6. But the Odyssey makes it really clear again that Odysseus is super sad about this.
The final trial faced was the Island of the Sun. Not the Weezer song, but Helios Island. Odysseus wanted to avoid it altogether, but one of the crew, a wise and observant member of the crew, we may remember from Circe's Island, Eurylochus, insists they need to rest. Instead of telling everyone what the prophecy was about, eating the sun god's cattle, he just makes them swear not to eat beef. Except they did eat beef, doing so as Odysseus had gone up a hill to meditate and then accidentally fallen asleep. Sleepy dude gets himself into trouble.
Helios was so enraged, he asks Zeus to punish them. Zeus uses some god magic to make the dead cows be all zombie-like they're mooing, they're groaning, they're walking around, which does not put off the men who continue to feast on these zombie cattle for 6 more days.
They're hungry.
Bellies full, they finally set sail until Zeus sends a storm that destroys the ship and everyone on it except Odysseus. Odysseus gets swept out to Charybdis, but he holds onto the branch of the fig tree, the same tree that the real woman used to lie under, and waits for the driftwood of his ship to be spit back up. He uses it to float all the way to Calypso, which is where the Odyssey begins, and where he's at when Telemachus is looking for him. After this tale to King Alcinous, Odysseus is finally super tired. Needs to rest. And that ends this section of the summary of the Odyssey, books 5 through 12. So, I know you just lost a hand listening to all of that, but listen up. Now, this moment, it's super important. It's the I am your father category for most iconic and most important character moment. I don't know if this is accurate, but for me, the most iconic and most important character moment is Odysseus, like Conway Stern on Archer, just shouting his real name, Polyphemus.
Yeah.
This is the reason why everything sucks for him on this trip. Yeah. Like, it's already been bad, to be clear. Like, a lot of people got eaten with the Cyclops, but like, it wasn't necessarily the god's fault. It was just like, hey, we've been moving around a lot and it kind of stinks. This is him directly being like, by the way, my real name is Odysseus. And Polyphemus being like, hey, Dad.
Dad.
Can you ruin his life?
Dad. He was so mean.
He's so mean. I need him to die.
So mean to me.
Or have a hard life.
It's, yeah. I can't get over him having tears to his prayer to his dad.
Him like genie wishing it, where he's like really trying to think through all of the different options.
Best case scenario, he never gets home. The reasonable Cyclops in me says maybe he makes it home, but it's gonna be really hard. And that's what they go with. And it's so clearly the moment that so much of modern media looks back at and takes inspiration. I'm thinking like Game of Thrones and the Martells, and like, I want her to know it was me.
Yeah.
Ah!
That's never come back to hurt anybody ever. It's almost very Bond villainy of him to like reveal what was going on. Like, it's not quite a big evil speech about like, I'm going to stab you in the eye. He doesn't like deliver it beforehand.
It kind of is,
though. It definitely is like, by the way, I need these stats.
You already
like,
blinded him and escaped.
Like, just take off.
Take the win, man.
He also almost brought you back to the island with a giant rock when he was blind. Yeah. Just take the win and get out of here. Arrogance, smarrogance. Good God.
Now everybody sit down. It's time for our I Am Iron Man. Most iconic, most important scene category.
Okay, so for the most iconic and important scene, I think a scene that probably most people don't think about when they think about the Odyssey, but from the like 2-second clip that we've gotten in an Odyssey trailer of it, I think it's going to be a fairly iconic scene for the movie, the Christopher Nolan movie that's coming up. But I also think it's very iconic for those who have read the Odyssey and have studied it. It's Scylla and Charybdis. It's just a high impact scene of action because it is very quick rowing, like a huge sense of urgency, because even though they're going the side of Scylla, they could be very much pulled into Charybdis anyways. Mm-hmm. And so the rowing and the sails and the action, and then Odysseus knowing these 6 heads are coming down, which 6 of my guys are going to be eaten, and then the absolute fear that's in that, followed up by a little bit of disobedience with Helios, and then Odysseus is back into Charybdis and has to survive that one as well.
Yeah.
So I have that scene, but you could absolutely convince me that it's pig turning with Circe, or really anything to do with the Cyclops, because the Cyclops does seem to be a hugely iconic thing. I did put him in for most important character moment, but I could be convinced.
Yeah, I mean, my gut says turning into pigs, because the last time I read the Odyssey before this was 10th grade. So that would have been end of 2010, beginning of 2011. I remember the turning into pigs. I think everybody remembers the Cyclops, and the idea that this particular Cyclops is important as an individual is such an interesting thing, because Cyclops become such a like generic creature, but the Cyclops in here is a specific one. Like, it's not just introducing us to this idea of single-eyed creatures, but it is that this one is Poseidon's. And how unfortunate is it that he is the one that you decided you needed to steal from?
Yeah, absolutely. Crack open an encyclopedia. It's time for our, as Elijah Wood once said, no, how could we have known category, where we discuss the most important information disseminated to the fandom in this epic poem. I think the biggest piece here is why Odysseus has been having such a challenge, and it's that he blinded the Cyclops, and Poseidon is like, that's my boy, and he's like, Father, help, and he's like, I got you, my kid.
Father, help.
I think that's the most important piece of information by far, because it's the thing that sets up what the heck's going on in this story, which again is really cool, because we already started in medias res. We started in the middle of the story, and now in the middle of the story, we actually, let me be clear about this. We start in the middle of the story in medias res with Telemachus being like, my dad's been missing for forever. And in the actual middle of the story, in book, 10, 11, 12, 13, that area, we get the actual reason why he's on the Odyssey for the first time. It's this really cool meta technique of like circular writing, which I just find to be fabulous.
Yeah, and in that same way, the reveals of things that happened during the Trojan War, that we keep getting these bits and pieces that give us more depth and that like connective tissue between the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yeah.
I would also kind of submit for some of the most important information.
Yeah.
Achilles. Death of Achilles.
Yeah, Achilles
is huge.
Agamemnon, more of him.
And like Death of Achilles being so like many moments that we know are connected to the Iliad, but that weren't disclosed in that poem, that get erroneously connected to it as a coming from the text, even though it is coming from the events begun in the text.
It's really interesting. It feels very Tolkien, or I suppose Tolkien's
Feels
writing ends up feeling very Homer-esque.
Yeah.
Since Tolkien is not from 4,000 years ago, but in fact from 100. In Tolkien's writing, some people have some qualms around these stoppages for songs and lore and the chair
Very
and
Greek.
all of this stuff that
Very
people
Greek.
remember in Fellowship, and it is very Greek. Now, the trick here is that Lord of the Rings references a lot of materials that has not been published, versus this material here is referencing the Iliad, which did come around the same time or before the Odyssey comes out. So I really quite like this pause in the Odyssey where these people are like, yeah, but tell me about the famous people that you met that were dead. And like, I could just see like Alcinous and Arete like on the bed with their feet behind them up in the air, waving them as they like lay their chins on their hands and like, tell us about the dead people. Okay. And it's like, oh, sleepover, yay!
Commercial break. Who do I know?
Yeah. Tell me where I don't want to know about your dead mom. That's super sad. And it's almost meta of Homer to be like, all right, so we just learned about dead moms, so let's give them some nuggets to chew on, some good stuff.
Let's give them something.
Yeah. So here's Agamemnon, who's super depressed, and also here's Achilles, who's super depressed about being dead. Both of them hate it. Oh, maybe that's too sad. Let's just end the chapter.
Yeah, the glory of death is so sick, unless
the Hamilton pause. Unless.
Everyone off the stage and cue Gandalf. Questions that need answering.
I have two questions for us. The first one is more of like a meta question around why the Odyssey and the Iliad are so different. Because, and there's probably no way to actually answer this, but I would love to hear your thoughts anyways. Why is there this move from warriors are the best, blood and guts are cool in the Iliad, to meekness and courtesy are strength in the Odyssey? Now, there obviously are moments in the Iliad where there's custom being followed, and those who do like adhere to the gods do much better on any given day, and those who upset the gods don't. But in the Odyssey, it's very much like there's Odysseus is weeping, and there's a meekness and an expectancy of the Xenia way and all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love the messaging. I do very much. I'm like, yeah, meekness is better than bloodlust. But I'd love to know what caused it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be curious about the historical context around both. And I think that in a society tangential to so much like territorial war and war as a method of accomplishing like nation building and state building, in spite of them being like the father culture of democracy, like war is just how you acquire. And so naturally, once you've acquired, then there is this societal and like moral value shift, right? In like, once we have it, how do we steward it and keep it? And so I wonder how much of the change is rooted in observations of wars up to that point, and the way that once you've gotten something, they're actually then it turns into this responsibility to not only keep it, but to like make it worth having.
Yeah, no, it's a fabulous point. I also do wonder, I mean, the Greek mythologies are essentially the religious text of the day as well. So there's so much that in what you're describing, like how do you maintain a social contract? And so I do like this pivot from, yes, it's totally good for us to go over and sack Troy and steal their women and plunder and get all this stuff.
And when you're at war, it is.
It's like,
and then the war's done.
Then the war's done, and you have to be able to return to being a normal civilian, lest the Cyclops call his daddy on you. Yeah, it's a fascinating fascinating little bit of information there. Also, there's like 8 other epics that we're missing. Would love to know what the messages of all of those are as well.
Yeah.
My second question here for you, Liz, is Odysseus a good leader? Yeah, that's my reaction too.
I think it... And I mean, this question in any context leads to a greater kind of value question about what does it mean to be a good leader? And is a good leader someone who can get themselves what they want? Because in that case, ultimately, yes, he gets himself home.
Yeah.
But, like, are you still a good leader if no one's left to lead at the end? In that case, no. So it's an interesting wondering, and I think that everyone's answer to it would be different. I wonder what Homer's answer would be.
Yeah. I think about the different instances of him losing his men. I think about the Polyphemus in the Cyclops cave as actually him being a good leader. It's just that there's a bad guy out there who is circumventing his ability to lead effectively. So essentially, he's doing the right thing. He's upholding the religiousness of the land with the Xenia that he's working on. So he goes to Polyphemus. He says, no, you're supposed to be courteous and we're not stealing from you. He literally says to his men, no, we're not stealing. We're going to stay here and we're going to wait for the blessing of this giant. And the giant come in and is like, no, I'm going to eat you instead. And so he's regretful of it now. And in hindsight, he should have probably just taken the stuff and left because Polyphemus is a bad dude. But without knowing that, I actually think that he's upholding leadership correctly. Then you get to his like. Then
you get to the next 6 men, and the next 6 men after that, and another 6 men.
And it starts to feel like.
And he stops.
His leadership is only.
He stops going with
about
them
him
too. Yeah, and that's the exact same point.
Yeah.
He stops going with them. He starts being like, "Go check that out. That's some smoke in the distance.
Go to this palace.
Go look at that.
Go do this thing. By the way, I'm going to go over here." With Scylla and Charybdis, he makes the choice unilaterally and follows Circe's advice. But he knows that 6 men are going to die. And in my opinion, any workplace, if they know they're going to be sacrifices, should let people know up front.
Loop in OSHA.
Whether it's job cuts or literal deaths.
Gotta loop in OSHA on that one.
Also, afterwards, I think the most damning node to his leadership is the cattle of the sun, where he very obviously could just say to the men, hey, I was told by a prophet, we can't touch these cattle. The reason being is because I will end up by myself going home, which means none of you will make it with me. So don't touch it. And instead, he just is like so arrogant about his leadership.
We are going beefless this week.
Yes, we're not doing anything, even though that we sacked all this stuff earlier, and then we sacked here and we sacked there. But this time, we're not doing it at all. And then his men are like, hey, he's sleeping. Let's just go. We're so hungry. Let's just kill these cattle.
Again. He falls asleep. Isn't clear about why they need to not do something. And they get effed.
Yeah, it's the same with the Zephyr winds, isn't it? I'd forgotten totally. The Zephyr winds. He's got a bag of wind.
That he hasn't told them what it is, or why he has it, or why it's important not to open it up. He just goes, hey, this super secret cool thing that God gave me, don't you touch it. Anyway, like, tell them
men aren't inherently greedy in some way, shape, or form.
Tell them one more thing.
One more thing. And so I come away from this being like, at times he can show great leadership, but in his desperation, in the actual early parts of the Odyssey, in these first 3 years before he gets to not Circe, but the other one, Calypso, I feel very much like, no, he's a bad leader.
And I think that there's also on an adventure, while you're being a little bit sponsored by some gods, actively trying to be murdered by others, the good leader is probably going to be out front on this one.
Yeah.
I think this isn't a moment to lead from the back and let them make their own mistake. No!
Pigs!
No!
Their mistake was pigs!
No! I think we're actually going to have to go out front on this one. I think we're actually going to have to be the first one into the palace, my friend.
Oh, man. And if you'd like to hear more of this, go check out our podcast, Fandom Shmandom, where we talked all about the Odyssey. Themes, you are in my dreams. Cast off and trim the sails. It's time to venture in Poseidon's murky depths to touch upon what themes these 6 books reveal to us. Number 1 theme, I have male virtue. So, as alluded to before, Odysseus' strength is in his tactics, his cleverness, his adherence to divine decree, not in blood or athletics, although he is also good at those. And I find this to be fascinating because he's just such a different hero than Paris, who's sort of this lustful, pretty boy that's good marksman, or Hector, who's like, I am protecting my home and I am a virtuous good man. Or Achilles, who, depending on which adaptation you're looking at, Achilles is like sort of this grumpy emo punk rock dude, or he's just like, kill, I want to kill constantly. Odysseus is kind of reluctant to be there. And he's the reluctant hero in a way that I don't think we get in any other aspect of the Iliad or the Odyssey, where he's just like, I need to be here because my oath, and I'll abide by the gods, and I'll do all this stuff, but I really want to go home. And it's just, I find his character brilliant.
Yeah. It's interesting, the kind of how we were talking earlier about he's like the connective tissue, right, between war and the world without war.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So he is living in this weird little middle where actually, like, and that almost, I feel like, explains his being in the back kind of leadership, that it's actually not about being the first one to show up and be the strongest or to make the biggest show. It's actually about, what can I do behind the scenes to make what I need to happen. And so that then gets us closer to these like societal ideals and agreements of living in harmony with one another, this like diversity of land and kinds of people. Like, we have to kind of figure out how to coexist, particularly after conquest. So he's this weird middle ground of like, how do you physically and philosophically move from how you function in a war zone to how you get yourself back into society.
Arrogance continued. We talked about arrogance in the last one, especially with Antinous and the suitors, and just how much they're like, yeah, this is ours and we're going to eat everything and you can't have anything. In this case, as you put it, this is punishment for looking a gift god in the mouth. I'm just floored because Odysseus doesn't normally act in this manner. We had lesser Ajax, right? In the last in the Telemachy, in the first 4 books. Lesser Ajax is like, I survived drowning at sea. No god will ever bring me down. And Poseidon's like, you want to bet? And causes an earthquake, and then he just like falls, sort of Kyoshi style.
Yes, I think Avatar:
we talked about him,
goofying off a cliff.
Yeah. And in this case, Odysseus is just, it's like, and it's not out of character, right? We also see it in when he's like, hey, you're not an athlete, and Odysseus is like, you want to bet, son? Yeah. And he just throws the discus. So I know that Odysseus is prone to this, but it's surprising.
The way they describe the discus scene, too, is so funny, because it's like the distance that he throws it, it's described as not only crazy further than anybody has thrown it in the history of this island, but even if they wanted to, they couldn't get it that far, and he threatens to throw it further next time. Like, it's the most sound athletic butt kicking he could possibly have given on the discus. And he goes, you need me to show you any other sports? And the king's like, don't even like athleticism. Let's hear a song.
Our whole civilization is actually not good at this.
I never even liked it.
Just incredible. And yet we see how arrogance gets him in trouble. Now with Alcinous, it doesn't actually get him in that much trouble. Alcinous is just like, you know what? I'm going to shut this down before this becomes an issue. But there's no one to shut down the leader, the captain, Odysseus, when he's shouting out of a boat, my real name's Odysseus. Like, and I love this messaging, that arrogance, that not, deep study, deep learning, adherence to the social contract, understanding that you might not know everything, which is such a strong message for a lot of young people out there. But also, as I've been teaching in an all boys school for the last 2 years, it's a great message for young men as well. And so I really love this messaging and like seeing how everyone kind of gets their butt kicked, as you said. Arrogance shows its ugly head.
Yeah, massive cautionary tale moment. Like, you gotta watch your mouth. You gotta watch your attitude, because if you don't do it, the gods will do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You really don't want the gods doing it. They are a malicious bunch.
You are not gonna like it.
Really not. And then we have deadly revenge is the god's way. I like this theme, or the idea, the thematic concept here, because it is also a masterclass in foreshadowing. We've gotten so much foreshadowing around revenge is the god's way in the Telemachy, because Zeus sends those two eagles down from the mountains to the island of Ithaca to tear each other apart.
Kill each other in front of everyone. And they go, probably nothing.
Could you imagine? Like, I feel like if you and I were up in San Francisco at some point and two eagles flew down, first of all, we'd be like, did you come from Washington? Like, how far did you get down here? This is crazy. And then just ripped each other to shreds. We'd probably be like, we're doing something wrong. Everyone pack it up. We're doing something wrong. Pack it up. Maybe don't order the Waymo. Maybe we shouldn't get in the Zooks. Maybe not the e-scooters. I don't know what it is.
Whatever it is, we gotta pause. We gotta root out whatever's making the eagles kill themselves.
Do we need to get rid of X? Like, what's happening in San Francisco that we need to stop eagles killing each other? What
exactly do we need to stop?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and so this deadly revenge is the god's way pops itself up a couple of different times. Poseidon tries to kill Odysseus a bunch of times in revenge and a vengeance for for his son's blindness. And then Helios is like, these suckers ate my cattle. And he's like, don't worry, I've got a punishment coming for them. And he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna like rough them up? He's like, no, I'm just gonna kill them.
Yeah, it's their time.
For 6 cattle, are we sure that's not... This feels like Batman, where like you were stealing a TV and you broke his jaw. It's disproportionate.
I think you're underestimating the personal value of cattle.
To a god, though?
To this one.
To this one.
Who do you think is helping him pull his chariot across the sky?
The cows?
You don't know him.
When you look up at the sun, you imagine Helios going from east to west with a chariot drawn by cattle.
You bet I do.
I know that they're not the black and white dairy cows, but that's what I'm imagining.
See, I'm imagining like Longhorns
with like the Ben and Jerry's painting on the side of his chariot.
Because they're the ones who you'd yoke up.
Helios, the original Santa Claus.
Yeah, man. Bringing us sunlight, like, the greatest gift of them all.
There was Bessie and Milky and Udder and Vixen. I ran out of names for cows very quickly.
Really fast.
Bessie and Milky. Okay, sure. Bessie's famous. Milky from Sondheim's
Beefy
musical. And then Udder, because I had to get straight to it. Okay, this last theme that I want to talk about, the thematic concept that I want to get into, is the hero's death in Greek mythology, and specifically in the Odyssey, all it's cracked up to be. Because we get, first of all, Odysseus, when he's in the underworld, is talking to a lot of people. Eventually gets to talk to Agamemnon, the king of the Greeks, basically, the king of all the kings, the one who swept them all together to go to Troy and get his brother's wife back. Also, he finds Helen very attractive, but only him and the gods know it.
That's neither here nor there.
So Agamemnon's whole thing is like, I waged this whole war. We finally won. We bring back Helen. I get home and I'm immediately murdered in my bathtub. Following that is Achilles, the warrior. Like, we still have a sports injury named after this dude.
The injury, the body part.
The bodybuilding, it's incredible. He's, Danny DeVito sings about him in Hercules. It's incredible. But he laments to Odysseus about being a dead king and how much he would much rather be a poor living peasant than be this glorified dead king. And also, so many of the men who fought with Odysseus along the way are now dead. So is it better to be dead via the hero's death, like Odysseus wishes at the beginning of book 5? Or is it better to be alive? Because the Odyssey here seems to be making this point that, like, it's really not worth the warrior's
It's not
death.
all it's cracked up to be.
No.
Because Odysseus himself is pursuing life and like a pursuit of the perfect experience of living, of having your son and having your wife and being in the kingdom that you are looked up to, in like this splitting the difference almost of like being a hero to the people who love you, being worth more than having the poems written about you and having the songs made up at banquets about you.
Right. And so Odysseus' whole deal is, as you're saying, I'm pursuing life, I'm pursuing happiness, I'm pursuing my family. And that's actually way more worth it than having died like Achilles, shot in the heel and bleeding out, or like Agamemnon returning a hero for all of about 45 minutes before he's murdered, or like any of these men, eaten by the Cyclops, eaten by the Lastrygonians, eaten by Scylla, eaten then by the ocean who drowns them. Like, is it much of a warrior's death if you're like being consumed? I don't know.
So many people get eaten.
So many people, yes. So many people are being eaten.
Over.
It is crazy.
It's terrifying of being eaten.
Yeah. So I think we're both feeling like the Odyssey. Don't die, hero. Figure out a way to live a long time.
Actually figure out how to live, and even the thread of fate that Tiresias like tells Odysseus about is, if you want to make it right, like, here's your pathways. You can either leave Helios alone and maybe all of you make it back, or you mess around with the beef and you are the only one who returns home. And are you a hero at all if everyone you were meant to protect is left in your wake? Is it even possible to die a hero anymore? Yeah,
that's an excellent question. I think that's a really strong question too. Is it even possible to die a hero anymore in this new Greek world post Battle of Troy? Although I will also say, you missed an excellent opportunity to say you messed around with the beef and you're going to get the
I thought about it. I did think about it.
Good. Glad we're aligned. Today's public service announcement. If you are the captain of a crew, make sure that all of your crewmates are accounted for, or you may run into some awkward situations, like going to the underworld and seeing one of your crew and not realizing he was dead, which has got to be embarrassing for pretty much everyone involved. The dead person and the rest of you who are like, wait, what are you doing oh, you're dead. Wait, you're dead? So don't have that. Keep track of who your crew is and if they're alive. This has been a public service announcement from Fandom Shmandom. Thank you, dear listeners, schmissioners, for tuning into this episode of Fandom Shmandom. If you'd like to discuss the episode or any other episode we've done, please hit us up on our social media channels. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Fandom Shmandom Pod. We have a Patreon as well, so see us over at patreon.com/CW/Fandom Shmandom for extra content. And I, your illustrious host Samuel Williams, have written an article over on our brand new Substack. Find us at Fandom Shmandom, where I wrote all about the state of Star Wars after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie came out. And there should be a piece up there about summer movie blockbusters soon. Please don't forget to rate and review us if you like the episode. It really helps with the algorithm placing us in other like-minded schmishners out there. And with that, we're out, y'all. Please don't forget to tip your island witches. Fare thee well.
Fandom Shmandom was created by Sam Williams and Sierra Obermark. The show is produced and edited by Aurelia Lieb. The music is by Jeremiah Alves.
Siri? No, don't talk to me.
I can't really hear you. What's happening?
Sorry,
Okay.
Siri activated on my computer for whatever reason. So I was like, ew, robot.
Oh my god. The odd Odyssey. Odd Odysseus. It hit it hiss. Odysseus.
Greek.
Greek man Ulysses.
James Joyce.
For anybody who's listening
some
to the
farts.
blooper reel right now, Ulysses is actually the Roman version of Odysseus. So Ulysses S. Grant is just like Grand Odyssey guy.
Of the North.
All right, here we go. Of the North. All right, here we are. Once outside the cave, Odysseus and his 6 remaining men, 50% of them, I lost my place. And also I came up with a funny joke that would be like, corporate would love that. 50% odds, amazing.
Great odds. Where profits are skyrocketing.
Profits are skyrocketing.
We're feeding
We lost
6
50% of our
fewer men.
workforce. We're eating 6 fewer men. Okay, here we go.